speaking public comments. I'm not putting it on the agenda. But no, she didn't.
Right. It's a special prize anytime. So it is an equal playing field.
6 o'clock.
On Rick to look.
Ready? I'd like to call this meeting of Whitfield County Board of Commissioners for Monday, February 13th, 2023 to order. All that are able, please stand for our pledge and invocation.
Let us pray. Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we just thank you for who you are. We thank you for blessings, loving us. Dear Father, we just thank you for being able to serve in Whitfield County. Dear Father, it's a great place to live, and we just thank you for all your blessings. Now go with us and guide us as we deliberate tonight, and forgive us where we fail you. And dear Heavenly Father, we also pray for this earthquake situation overseas. Dear Heavenly Father, that you're in charge. Now bless us. Thank you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let the record reflect we have all 5 commissioners present, and that meets our quorum requirements. The agenda was sent out approximately 6 days ago to the commissioners and the public at large. Were there any changes or additions to the agenda?
I saw none, and I make a motion the agenda is presented.
Motion by Commissioner Robbins to approve the agenda. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. There's just the regular consent agenda item related to our budget amendments and procurements done at the last meeting in January. The minutes were also sent out last week, about 6 or 7 days ago, from our January regular business meeting. Were there any changes or edits on that?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Robbins to accept the minutes. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. All right, we have our Employee of the Month, Kelly Espinita. Did I pronounce that right? With the District Attorney's Office? What? Espitia. Oh, thank you. Tell us a little bit about Kelly.
I will defer to her
Oh, okay.
supervisor.
Perfect.
Kelly is an absolute blessing to our office. She brings us laughter every day, smiles every day, and is super helpful to anybody that meets her. She is also one of the most compassionate people that I've ever met, and she is a blessing to the victims that she serves in our community as well.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good job.
Just me? No, more okay,
All right, we start with our reports from each commissioner, and I always open that up with our shared mission, is to provide quality service at a cost all our citizens can afford. So tonight we're going to discuss the property assessment legislation, or reform as we refer to it here. If you recall, back in the summer, everyone received their property assessments from the Board of Assessors. The first one, 20 or 30 or 40% increases for some of us on that first pass, I will say. They eventually rolled that back for 1 year, the Board of Assessors, so everything stayed the same. But as part of that, if you read the fine print in the tax invoice, that was for just 1 year to give us time as commissioners and to work with the other taxing authorities to come up with some solution because there is these large large property assessment increases in values out there. So our goal was to find some solution, look around at other counties, and find how can we stop this from a legal perspective, where it goes up at a more reasonable pace, where people can budget for it, they expect it, but they don't get those large 20 or 30% increases that we had last year. Maybe 5 or 10 years ago, there was another one that was fairly large as well. After the last recession, we saw a dip, and then it bounced right back. So just that unexpected increases. So the solution is for our legislatures to drop the legislation, vote on it in the House and Senate, and the governor. He will have to sign off on it. Once all that is completed, then the voters can decide on the first election, which happens to be November 2023. They will vote, all of you will vote if you agree with this assessment. So what is this reform, this law? Basically, it would cap each person's individual assessment at 6%. So if you're a homeowner for your primary residence, if you own 3 or 4 homes, it only counts for your primary resident. It doesn't impact commercial or industrial. Those are unrelated to this. This is only for homeowners and their primary resident. They would go up as much as 6% in 1 year, and over 3 years, the maximum for all 3 years would be 14%. So we didn't come up with those numbers, just out of the air. Actually looked at the historical value of home sales in Whitfield County, and it's about 4.2, 4.3% over a 45-year period is how property values, increase or decrease in that case. Every year. Yeah, that's the annual average for that entire time period. So we can't make this retroactive. That's unconstitutional. So that was something that I learned. We can't go back to January 1st because the law hasn't been signed. The voters haven't voted on it. So as part of that law, we will look at the last 3 years. So if you do get a spike in of your values this year, don't worry. When this law is passed, if it's passed by the voters, then we can pick any of the last 3 years, whichever the lowest assessed value for the last 3 years, which will probably be last year. In most people's case, that will be your go-forward basis, and then it can go up 6% from there, or less, depending on what the year is. If you're a new homeowner, maybe you're in an apartment now, or you're living in a different county and you move here, we will set whatever house you buy, or new home if you build a new home, or if you buy an existing home, whatever you pay for it, that will be your new value, and then you can also take advantage of the 6% cap after we set that value at the purchase price of the home. So we will vote as a county. So this will be countywide ballot initiative in November. And the voters can say yes or no to push this 6% cap. Each individual taxing authority also has to decide if they want to do it. I can't tell the school board what to do. I can't tell the individual cities what to do. They can participate or not. It'll still go forward, assuming we pass it tonight for the county portion of the tax. But the other tax items on your bill, it's up to individual authorities to decide. For example, Varnell did vote a couple of weeks ago to join us, so they will have their own initiative for the city of Varnell to voters to select also. Cohutta and Tunnel Hill, they don't have a property tax, so there's really no reason at this point, if they ever did implement a property tax, maybe they would want to pass this law and keep a 6% cap as well, but it doesn't really apply to Cohutta and Tunnel Hill, to be honest. But the schools definitely have it. Dalton City definitely has it as well.
And it's an annual cap.
Yeah, like I said, that's an annual increase of 6% as opposed to the 24, 30, 40% that people got last year. That's where that came from. Again, we'll vote on it later tonight, but any other questions from the commissioners on this? Or anything I missed, failed to mention? But again, it'll be up to the voters, so we'll have 6 months to dive into this. It's not a tremendously complicated legislation, but it's obviously more than one page. I just kind of boiled it down to the bare essentials here, but everybody will have a copy of the law. They can research it, calculate values for their own personal, their neighbors, whatever you want to do. We'll have 6 months or 7 months to decide that between now and when it goes on the ballot. All right, this was the slide you recognize from last month if you were here. Just wanted to celebrate a little success. I appreciate our staff really getting out there and promoting this. You know, if you recall, we tried in the fall, did not get enough applicants. Well, now we have over 20, I think we got 100 applicants. We had 20 qualified applicants at Commissioner Thomas and I drew the top 5, and then we'll qualify those and verify the application they submitted. But we have plenty of people to allocate this grant that we received to help homeowners, especially seniors and lower income people, to stay in their homes, repair their homes, make them safe and habitable. And it's a great grant, and we want to make sure that we took full advantage of it, because if you didn't get it this year, we can apply for the grant next year, but if we have to give money back, we'll never get the grant again. So I think it's a win-win, and I appreciate everybody working hard. And we'll start with the first 5, and hopefully we can get a few more this time, and then we'll visit it again next year. That's all for me. Anything to report, Commissioner Jones?
Pretty quiet.
Commissioner Thomas?
No.
Commissioner Staton?
No, sir.
Commissioner Robbins?
I do not.
All right. Start with our county administrator. A couple of items for you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, members of the public who are here tonight, watching at home on video. A couple of items I want to discuss. The first and most important item is the every 5 years, Whitfield County reviews and revises its comprehensive plan, and in order to do so, we need a committee of citizens to participate in that. So in order to make sure we get a good broad section of Whitfield County, I'm asking that anyone who's interested in serving on the Comprehensive Plan Committee send me an email to that address. We'll also put this up on the website, and hopefully the newspaper will cover this as well. And simply, it's not a formal application. It's simply tell me that you want to serve on the committee and what you would bring to the committee. There will be some work involved. There'll be a number of meetings to attend, so keep that in mind, either for yourself or people that you're discussing that with. And that will be brought to the BoC, the Board of Commissioners, at the March meeting for them to review and approve the members of that committee. The next item is Pet Care Day. Diane Franklin, who's here, does a great job not only with taking care of abandoned, neglected, and abused animals, but being proactive in providing services to people. On Saturday, February 25th, so I think that's 2 weeks from, or about 2 weeks from now, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Edwards Park on the north end of the county, and this will be in the outdoor pavilion right behind the community center. Through the generosity of Dr. Felker, who's a local veterinarian, and some other grants or gifts that Diane was able to get for pharmaceuticals. For $10, we will be providing your dog with a rabies vaccination and parvo, which is distemper. And for an additional $10, or for $20, we will provide rabies and parvo vaccinations and the microchip. The microchip is very important because since that technology was introduced, untold thousands of lost pets have been reunited with owners because of the human technology and being able to track those animals and reunite them with their owners. This program is for county residents only, so you may want to bring some sort of proof of residency. We'll take your dog's word for it if he says he's a resident. If you can't trust a dog, who can you trust? The last thing I wanted to talk about was the Whitfield County Senior Center. We've been operating that facility for about a month and a half, and I'm going to do a little bragging. I think the county's doing a great job. I think Mary Hammondtree and her staff are doing a great job. One of the things we've been doing is renovating the building to make improvements. And I know last Friday the senior center was closed, and Chuck Fetzer, I think there's Chuck. We put all new flooring in the senior center. It looks beautiful, and just as important, it's a non-slip surface so that we don't have people falling down and injuring themselves. And I did want to talk a little bit about tomorrow is Valentine's Day, and at the Senior Center, Mary has a full calendar of events. So the festivities begin at 9:30 a.m. There's a gallery of sponsored by Hamilton Medical Center of heart attack survivors and their stories. And that will be there until the end of the week. And then Hamilton will also be conducting a mini health clinic. So they'll be doing blood pressure screening, cholesterol screening and blood sugar. So we cover heart attack, stroke, and diabetes, and that's all free. So you can go ahead and do that to find out where you stand on those important vital signs. There'll also be a door prize that will be given away. At 10:30 a.m., there's a Valentine's Day party. There'll be some refreshments, free photos of you and your sweetheart. There'll be some entertainment and door prizes. And then at 6 o'clock is the big Valentine's dance. There's a snack supper, and the cost for that is the low price of $5 per person. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Now we'll get our finance report. Mr. Garvin. Final year-end report.
Yes, so, like last month, we're still hanging in there with 2 good green arrows and 2 red bad ones. But being for the final report for 2022, it's especially encouraging that the 2 green arrows total more in a good direction than the 2 bad ones do in a bad direction. That's a positive for us. And then these next few slides are some graphical representations in a nutshell of what we just said. But you see there actual revenue versus projected. Sometimes when you have such a gap there, it is something possibly truly unexpected on the revenue side. And whether expected or unexpected, it's good because it's revenue. In this case, though, the board was made aware of these revenue inflows. What we have there are final budget amendments to come next month, which will bring what had been budgeted more in line with the actual. And that actual versus projected for the final and for what the auditors will see will not be such a large gap. But there were some outright property sales at Carbondale the board knew about. That was a major revenue inflow right at the end of the year. And there were some other things with ARP revenue loss that as those were calculated, became available and removed. We've been tracking those, but they haven't gone into the actual budget number yet. And that's basically the same difference between 21 actual, that revenue increase to 22. These are much more in line. There again, there are some year-end adjustments. There was the additional pension payment is the main cause of the actual being higher than projected, which was a known and approved expenditure, but the budget hasn't been brought into alignment with that action. So you see a little bit of a gap there.
Go back to the revenue, please. What was the,
We had the one-time is basically what the big delta was.
yeah,
ARP and the sale of the property in December.
okay, we couldn't reclassify that into another category that,
I think you will in the final report to the auditors and to the state, but you have to recognize it as general fund revenue.
as
to start
revenue?
with. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. Everything has to be recognized.
Was that the whole, was that just the biggest bulk of the $4 million?
Those 2 items, yeah.
Okay,
Yep, 100%.
thank you.
So here again, the green is good, and when you're looking at the expenditures there, that's versus budgeted, the negative. And that's, again, when the budget is trued up to what was approved. If we were to look at this again in graphical form for 2022, you wouldn't really see that. And so the auditors will see those actions taken by the board when they come in and look at the books. Next month, of course, we'll be looking at January, seeing how we're doing there. Same thing, this is what we had projected to be our ending fund balance, and that came in with nothing really unexpected hitting us. Pretty much, we're figuring an actual year end of around 32.5 to 32.8. There might be something which shouldn't be substantial that comes in unexpected that would affect that either on the revenue or expenditure side. But it's not expected, and we have to get through the audit and any audit adjustments they might propose. But that's an important number as far as our actual ending fund balance. So with our SPLOST, we are at 48.1 million that has actually been collected. We have our project expenditures there of about 28.5. We have begun servicing the bond debt again. And so for the next 3 to 4 months, depending upon level of receipts, those will go directly to the bond debt service, which has to be set aside before any of the collections are made available to us this year,
And the bond will be paid off next year, is that right?
next year,
24.
next October.
Okay. And this is important because we've got a few SPOS items to purchase tonight, so we need to make sure that we have both the line item coverage that we promised the voters, and then also we have the income revenue from that SPOS, and it looks pretty positive so far. Any other questions for Mr. Garvin?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Staton to approve the finance report. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. All right, this is our first public comment section. Anyone that wishes to share their feedback or comments or input on the items that were on the agenda, which was published, or you picked it up at the door there. So are there any comments on agenda items or feedback? If you'll just give us your name and address.
Name is John Alt, 1058 Cudahy Road in Cohutta. I just have a question on the new appointment for the Northwest Georgia Regional Commission. It says on here citizen member. I'm a little confused what that means. Can you all explain that to me?
We have the regional commission meets in Rome, and we are required to appoint myself, whoever the acting chairman is, a mayor from one of our cities, typically the largest city, but in this case, he didn't want to do it, so the mayor from Tunnel Hill does it, and then one citizen person. So the three of us go to those meetings in Rome, but they're open to the public. Anybody can attend, but if you want to vote, you have to be appointed by us.
Gotcha. So was there any type of a work session as far as the candidates that you guys chose for this position?
No work. We haven't had any work sessions this year.
None at all, okay. So was this the only individual that applied for this position? Were there other individuals?
No other individuals I'm aware of.
So this is the only one? So based on tonight, if you guys approve it, this will be the person that will be taking over Ethan Calhoun's position?
No,
Okay.
we don't. He was a staff member at Rome. We don't hire or fire those people. That's decided by the regional director, who's funded by the state.
Okay, that's what I need to find out. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other comments about the agenda? All right. Mr. Long?
Long, what the gentleman in front of me was talking about, was he talking about Dave Hasty?
Yes, there are many Hasties in the county, but this is one of them. Yeah.
Well, anybody that don't know him, there's not a honest or better man in Whitfield County.
Oh, great. Appreciate the feedback.
You should hope your kids grow up like Dave.
Okay. That's what we like to hear. Any other comments on the agenda items? All right, we'll move into the agenda itself. And so that was the very first item on there, is to replace Mitch Sanford, who has work obligations that don't allow him to break away on the Thursday when we happen to meet any longer. So he resigned, and appoint Dave Hasty as his replacement.
Make a motion, we appoint Dave Hasty.
Motion by Commissioner Robbins, second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. This is the local legislation that we discussed earlier that we must approve and get it through our state legislature for adding to the budget, to the ballot, sorry, in November. One other point I didn't mention, this is about 7% of our revenue that we're talking about, 7.3 to be exact, that we're talking about capping. The homeowners and homestead is a small part of our budget. And again, we're capping it at 6% growth as any particular year. So to me, it's fairly low risk. We can always raise the millage rate at any time. We don't want to, but if we had some emergency, there's nothing in this law that prevents anyone from raising the millage rate if you need to raise revenue. But as far as assessments and kind of what some people call backdoor tax increases, this would limit that to 6%. Any other discussions from you guys?
The only thing,
No.
the only question I got, do we know what the state's gonna do? Are they gonna do anything on this year?
They're running out of time. The only thing that I've talked to pretty much all the representatives of Whitfield County or that touch part of Whitfield County, and there's a $500 bonus or whatever you want to call it, credit for people that are in the same category, homestead owners in the whole state. So there's a one-time amount, but that doesn't help you next year or for 20 years out or anything like that. Nothing about, there is some talk about there's 100 other counties that are out of compliance with the rules that the Department of Revenue sets up for property assessments. And so there is some talk about giving counties more time to get in compliance, but wouldn't affect the individual homeowners like this would. And that's the goal, at least, to protect them from these increases. Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve our local legislation?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. All right, you know, we pretty much have some new grant, or sometimes more than two, at every one of our meetings that we find that should benefit our community and our citizens. This RAISE grant is related to, we did have a meeting last week open to the public to discuss this in more detail, but it's related to a bridge that needs replacing in the next 5 or 6 years on Dawnville Road. It will cost more than $1.5 million to replace the bridge, but we'll start with that and use that to get the design and the permitting and the approvals to get that bridge replaced if it's approved. And there's no match required. So this was what our best foot forward to try and win this grant and help us replace that bridge, which would be about $3.5 to $4 million, I think it is. Is that right, Bob? Our best guess, but that's part of this money would help us design and build and get it costed out and the roads leading into it as well.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Staton to approve the no-match grant with RAISE. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. All right, our second grant, this one does have a small match of 20%. We have a metropolitan planning organization that covers both Murray County and Whitfield, so they will help us with the match, part of this match if we win this. But we have to do a 25-year plan for transportation, traffic, freight, everything coming through our two counties because they're part of the metropolitan area. So this will help pay for that plan for up to $250,000 with a match by us in Murray County. Is there a motion to approve the GD MPO grant application? We don't know if we're going to win or not. Motion by Commissioner Jones. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Thomas. Any further discussion?
Yes,
All-
you said it.
Yep, go ahead, take your time.
It covers Whitfield and Murray County.
Yes.
But the match comes from Whitfield and Murray County
Yeah, we pay more, but they pay a portion of the match.
because of population.
Yeah, based on population. Well, it needs to be updated, Bob. It's an old population number, but yes, it's based on population.
The Greater Dalton statistical area, or the metropolitan planning area is Whitfield and Murray County.
Right.
And of course, with the port over there, that's generating a lot of traffic, so we want to figure out how to handle
But
that.
we do share in that match.
Yeah, and Murray County does participate in the meetings.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep, they're active. Mr. Hogan. Any other questions?
Call for the question.
All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. Okay, we approved our county extension contract last month, but there was a little tweak, I think, is related to how they invoice, whether it was monthly or quarterly in that contract, so we want to clarify that. And also, I believe the extension person from UGA resigned, and so we have a replacement, Roger Gates, so we want to recognize that. So kind of fixing that small error as far as the billing of the extension, which we just pay a small portion of it anyway, but we want to make sure that's right, and to recognize the new person in the position. Motion to approve the changes to the UGA county extension. Motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Staton. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. We've got several ARPA money from 2022. You heard Mr. Garvin earlier talk about that and how it impacted some of our revenue. This money has already been approved, in most cases already spent, but we have to officially recognize that for the paperwork and the filings and the transparency of the ARPA funding. So the first one is for $1,026,000 and change, going to the various items I have listed there: Prater's Mill, elections, bonuses paid, inflation bonus that we paid last year, and engineering services. Is there a motion to more or less approve or ratify that 2022 expenditure for ARPA? Motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Thomas. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. And again, that's not new money, that's already been spent. Same for this one. We approved this back in November, originally as a 3-year. Worked closely with our EMA director on this, trying to negotiate a better price, which we are still hopeful for. That's why we want to sign a 1-year contract. We'll pay for that out of ARPA, but we can, if we get approved for the to join this Tennessee network, which includes other counties in Georgia like Dade, I believe, and Catoosa. If they approve us joining it, we'll be able to save more, but we don't want it to lapse. So we did a 1-year, and we pay each quarter, where we can cancel at any time and switch over to the Tennessee contract in the future, which is still, I'd say, a 50-50 chance, but need to approve this as a 1-year with the amount paid for ARPA until we can make this a final longer-term agreement. Motion to approve the funding for this agreement. We've already approved the contract itself.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. We awarded our nonprofits last month, or maybe that was December. We had additional picture taking on that earlier today with the recipients of that, but they will be officially designated as sub-recipients as far as the federal ARPA. Again, this is the paperwork and the audits required because this is federal money. So we need to approve those as sub-recipients, not just the award money, but they're actually part of this federal program, which they've agreed to follow the paperwork and the audits required, which that was part of the discussion we had with them.
This is from the committee that Judge Morris chaired.
That's right.
Yep.
And she awarded, and we approved the awards last time, but now we just have to approve their status as a federal sub-recipient.
Right.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Staton, second by Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Again, we've already distributed the money, so that's no impact on finances. Opioid, we have a resolution in the packet. I didn't put it all here. It's several pages long. There's been some settlements with the pharmaceuticals. We've already done one of these resolutions for the manufacturers of opioids, but there was a recent settlement with like Walgreens, CVS, Walmart, several different pharmacies that agreed, and hopefully we will get some funds depending on what our Attorney General decides to do with those, but this will ensure that he knows we want those funds.
Yeah, we're the ones having to pay the bills.
We pay all of the bills for drug courts and the jails and the ambulances to go pick people up and the Narcan to revive people, et cetera. It goes on and on. So it's a serious epidemic, and hopefully we can use that money to curb it.
And as I understand, he may be having some pushback of how it's.
Yes, we hope he does not decide to keep the money, but there's rumors. We don't want to deal in rumors, but the resolution will tell us we want to stick with the plan, basically, like we had with the manufacturers. I don't see any difference between the settlement, the manufacturer, and the settlement of a pharmacy. That's the same. It's all opioid money, so there's nothing special about it in my mind. Motion to approve the opioid resolution for pharmacies.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Jones. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Staton. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. You've got a quick claim deed. This is on a property that we apparently inadvertently built a road over 20 years ago or more. I don't know exactly when, a long time ago, over his property. So we're swapping him land. So we did not, whoever built the road did not realize it. So this is swapping him right-of-way property for property that we took inadvertently when Brooker Road was built. There should have been copies in your
Oh, yeah, this is,
packet as well.
Tracy Ward represents him, he's here, but
Yeah.
we've looked at it, and essentially, it is, like you said,
With the survey, we found that we were on somebody's property, basically.
we've never, this is just a quit claim. This is basically saying the county doesn't contend it owns it,
Right.
and we've never have contended that we owned it.
Yep. Never done anything with it. It's a third of an acre, so.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Jones to approve the quick claim. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. Slightly different from Whitfield County Schools. They built this road, Trailblazer Lane, over by the middle school up in North Whitfield, and built it to the county roads and specifications. They are not in the road business, obviously, so they want to convey this road to us, and we will maintain it going forward. I believe our Public Works has confirmed it meets the standards for us to take it over, like we would do in subdivisions as well, but this just happens to be with the school board.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas, second by Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion or comments? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. All right, we have a request from our sheriff's office to buy 3 different types of vehicles, a total of 25 for just a little over $1 million. We can approve some, all, or half, or whatever you guys want to do. My only comment is that we need to come up with a replacement guidelines, basically, where we kind of take the judgment and the policy, politics and everything out. It's just either it meets the criteria or it doesn't, very black and white. So that would be my suggestion, is we don't approve any vehicles after tonight until we have that policy in place with our county administrator.
And just for your information, Mr. Chairman, and for the public's information, I communicated with Sheriff Chitwood and Captain Pangle last Friday, and we are working on that. So that we have a plan that reflects use and cost and all those other variables.
By age of the vehicle, how many miles it's got, if it's totaled, of course, we know we got to replace totaled vehicles. So whatever kind of criteria you guys want to come up with, we'll be happy to review it and approve it. And same for all, it's not just the sheriff's office, it's any county vehicles, public works, recreation, all that. How many of these vehicles do you guys feel comfortable with?
Well, from what I hear, they're behind already.
We've got about 140 vehicles, I think, in total, so this would be, whatever, 20% of them, something like that.
Being replaced.
Yeah. This would go to SPLOST. We talked about that earlier. The SPLOST funds, of course, sheriff vehicles are typically on our SPLOST plan, the last several SPLOST.
They've got to have them, but I want a plan going forward.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be less.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Jones to approve 25 plans and to request a vehicle replacement policy be put in place.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Staton. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. The food bank, if you recall, we got a grant with the state and passed that through to the food bank. We're not responsible for the funding or the construction. We're just helping advocate for that and overseeing it from a financial standpoint, but no taxpayer dollars from Whitfield County are involved. They did find a couple of issues with the foundation and needed to reroute some lines and sewers, things like that. So they needed to approve a change order, which they have the contingency in their funding that they raised, and the grant that we're approving as well has contingency. So, but they do need our approval for that change order, and that was in the packet as well.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas to approve the change order. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. We got 2 or 3 items from Public Works. I broke these up separately. So the first one is our annual crushed stone purchase that we do. There was, I think, only one person locally that quoted that, Vulcan Materials, for $150,000 for the year. Is there a motion to approve the contract with Vulcan Materials?
I hope that's enough. They just keep going up.
Higher and higher. Yeah, let's hope that inflation gets under control soon.
Think.
Motion by Commissioner Jones. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. This will come out of our M&O budget, regular annual budget for that. Second one for Public Works, there's 3 items they want to surplus, either unused equipment and we'll sell it on Gov Deals, or lack of use, things like that, age. And then one for buildings and grounds. I think he's got. Okay, remove building and grounds, so just the 3 for Public Works? So he's keeping his bucket truck for now. Is there a motion to approve the 3 items listed there to surplus and put on Gov Deals?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Jones. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. The last item for Public Works, he has one regular vehicle, like we discussed earlier. Hopefully we'll come up with a county-wide plan after tonight. But he wants to buy 2 trucks, and then the other items, tractor, mower, and a boom mower as well. The total is $840,000, and that was on the 2020 SPLOST as well.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Staton for the Public Works 2020 SPLOST items. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Thomas. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. Got some annexations from Varnell. This is 3 parcels. There was no land use objection on these 3 parcels listed. I don't love annexations, but we have to deal with them.
Any land use?
No, none. We checked it, none.
None. Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Robbins. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Thomas. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. We do aerial photography and surveying of our entire county. That has to be done every so often and kept up to date. This contract was about to expire, so we had to get in because they do it from airplanes. So just need to ratify this contract for $22,000. That is out of the general budget for 2017-16. Is there a motion to ratify that? That goes into our GIS information. Motion by Commissioner Jones. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Staton. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. We also approved our hazard mitigation plan last month, but we need an actual resolution just to formally ratify that and send it to our state and federal partners that we have completed that. So this is the final step just for the EMA disaster recovery plan.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Staton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. Our last item is to listen to the citizens. We can't take action because it wasn't an agenda item, but we're happy to hear any feedback or comments that you have about other items maybe that weren't on our agenda. Anyone would like to speak in public comments? No other comments? I'll accept a motion to adjourn. Motion by Commissioner Jones. You're welcome.
We lost.
Yeah, y'all lost big time. Wonka lost big time.